see that house we pulled up to? That's my house. Inside that house is a beautiful wife and an adorable 16-month-old son right down the road from my parents' house. You see, my parents are not just satisfied with their success. They want others to succeed. And what they taught me was that Vemma's opportunity could also allow me to get married and buy my first house in college and start a family at such a young age. You see, that's why I'm so proud of my parents. They care so much about others and they want them to succeed. I love you guys so much. Thanks for taking good care of us.
Just want my parents to know how thankful and proud I am of them, of all their hard work, and for what wonderful leaders they are. They're wonderful parents, grandparents, and just want to say thank you. We appreciate all you do. We love you. Can we blow kisses? Bye.
Please welcome to the stage Royal Ambassadors Ruth and Jeff Elliott.
Thank you very much. This time goes by fast, and wow, that is so inspiring. And we've heard many different whys today, and as you can imagine, that is just very much Jeff and my why. So I don't want to cover every why I've had in 22 years, but they evolve around everything that you've heard from every other person's why. So you grow and evolve into this business, into many different whys. But what I want to do for you today is to walk you through 1988. I was actually introduced to this industry for the first time. I was a stay-at-home mom just wanting to make an income without putting my children in daycare. And I bought into Jim Rohn and his philosophies. And Jim Rohn gave me 5 tips. And I kind of want to go over some of those with you today because they were so impactful in my life. And the first thing he taught me is you have to have a philosophy. So what is your philosophy? Well, I'll show you mine. My philosophy about network marketing is the simpler you keep it. And the little steps that you give people. I use the term often, your next step is, because I like to give people the little bit of knowledge that they need to know to get started. And so really it's a paradigm shift. What you see here today on this screen, this is how people relate to technology. Look how fast it's growing. Didn't require a manual, it just required turn it on, push buttons. And you can't make an error. Well, I want to introduce you to my 3-year-old granddaughter who figured out how to use my iPad. She posted notes on Facebook for me, and I mentioned it to Karen Barreco one day, and she said, oh, you should get on and buy some apps for her. Get Talking Carl, get iCupcake. I'm like, I've never bought an app before. So I sat her on my lap, and Karen told me it's simple. So I went into the app, and I began to buy 2 apps for my granddaughter. And while it was loading, we went to the videos and we began to watch Elmo to kill time. Because when we wasted a minute watching Elmo, we came back and that app was there. And then I downloaded a couple other ones. And I realized that if you download one that's too big of a MB, I guess that's a mega something, it requires you to put in this cord, and it tells you, put in the cord. And you do, and lo and behold, it downloads right onto your iPad. And I thought, now that is pretty amazing. But little did I know that my little granddaughter, 3 years old, who's with Easter seals for a communication delay, had no problems picking up what I was doing. And before I know it, my desktop begins to change. Why? Because it was your next step is, and it was simple. Now, if I can teach her to rearrange those things that look a little bit more like this when she starts talking, I'll be in great shape. Today, though, she suffers the consequences because, see, in order to do that, she memorized my password. And I had to change my passwords to keep her off my desktop. So that's my philosophy. The other tip that I want to pass on to you is Jim Rohn said, learn to impact people with words. And I bought into that, and many of you here know me as someone who knows what to say all the time. It's not really what I say, it's sometimes what I don't say. It's not what I tell people, it's what I ask people. And so buy into that simple philosophy. And the one tip I can give you about this industry is sometimes we tend to pretend to be something we're not. We learn a lot about scripts, and they don't quite feel right. And so it's awkward. Well, I'll tell you, I went sledding about a month ago with our granddaughter, and I had to go into the closet to find something to wear, outerwear. And I know many of you heard the story about Kendra. Kendra, this incredible woman who sat in our local Panera shop in Bloomington, Illinois, that made such an impression on me. She was beautiful. She always had on a coat and a hat and gloves to match. She made such an impression on me that I realized I was going to try to be like her. And so what did I do? I started buying hats. This was hat number one. It wasn't quite for me. So then I thought, maybe I'll tilt it on the side. The next hat I thought I'd try is this style. Maybe this one looks good on me. It didn't either. I tried this one. I tried the next one. I thought, well, maybe if I just wear it a little bit on the side. And then Theodis, this gentleman in Bloomington, Illinois, he wears his hat backwards. So I thought I'd try that. Then I realized that really my identity is I wear my hair parted on the side. Maybe I should wear one where my hat tilts to the side. Then I thought, well, maybe I need my hair off my face. And then I thought, well, maybe I just need more hair on my face. And I kept trying these silly hats. And then I realized, but I do play tennis. Maybe I should stick to what feels more comfortable. And I tried the sportswear. And then I got connected with Michelle Barnes in those silly magazines. And you remember the picture of her with that beautiful hood up with the fur around her face and her dogs? I thought, well, maybe if I have a small head, I need a bigger hat. So I went to Budapest, Hungary. And I ended up in Austria only to find out I don't feel right in a hat. I don't even look good in a hat. And what I found myself doing is pretending that I was someone I wasn't. I was pretending to be Kendra. And I needed to be comfortable in my own skin, and that's what you need to do too. So what I teach people is speak from the heart. Because when you're pretending, it's very easy to recognize, and I'll give you an example. I received a phone call on my cell phone about 6 months ago. A woman left me a message and said, Ruth Elliott, we'd like you to call us back. Donald Trump would like to, he's very interested in you. I'm like, what? So out of curiosity, the next day I called her back. She said, oh yes, Donald Trump is really impressed with you. I said, really? I don't really remember meeting him. And she said, well, you know, he has a company, and he's really impressed with you, and so am I. And I said, oh, you've probably been on my website. Yes, we have. And I said, okay, my story is on my website. She said, yes, it is. And you see, that's usually where people pump their chests and learn to put on that bulletproof vest, like my company's better than yours. So I don't do that. I ask a question to get her to take off her bulletproof vest, and all I asked her was this: what part of my story interested you the most? There was dead silence. Because, see, she hadn't invested any time to learn who I was or my story. And it became very obvious. And so what I did was I began to ask her questions. And I said, have you ever tried network marketing before? She said, yes, I have, and I failed. And I began to tell her who I was and what I believed. I told her I believe I'm partnered with the greatest opportunity in America today, across the world today now. And she began to say things to me like, I can see why you're so successful. And we hung up the phone with my, no, that I wasn't interested. And I realized at that moment, what I wanted to say was, please pass on a message to Donald Trump for me. Ruth Elliott is not for sale. Because I believe I am partnered with the greatest company in the world. But I realized if that were my message, he'd probably never get it because he probably doesn't even know who she is. But I hope I left just that lasting impression in her life. Don't pretend to be something you're not. It's very simple to invest time in people. We've heard some wonderful stories today about teams. And I want to introduce you to some very ordinary people who've done extraordinary things because of the value of team. Could you go back 2 slides, please? Don't ask me how I did that. One more. Oh, where is Artie? Artie's supposed to be in there by himself. Go to the next slide then. Let's just see. We'll start here. Pictured on the left is Artie. I did have a picture of him solely by himself. I want to introduce you to Artie Bowman. Artie Bowman was the #1 Summer Sizzling Contest winner. Artie's from Virginia Beach. He has no computer skills. He has a trophy shop and he's a drummer. And so Dennis used to think, okay, so Dennis Ligon from Virginia Beach used to say to him, you know, Artie, you can do it. You can do it. And I'll tell you what, Artie knew that every skill he didn't have, he had a team of people that had him. He also knew that when he came to my event and I put on music and I said, write down 10 things you want your life to be. And every time you listen to that song that's tied to the 10 things you want your life to be, it will take you to that moment when you believe you can do it. And Artie Bowman got up every day and he listened to Austin's Bridge song called Big Sky. And he partnered with these people right here who did every skill he didn't have, including enrolling every brand partner that he brought to the table. That's a team. But it went all the way up to ambassadors, Mimi and Tyler Ford from Tucson. That's a team. The next person I want to introduce you to is the #1 contest winner of the Momentum Bonus Frenzy, Carol and Gary Freitag. You see, they sent me an email after winning the contest and said, thank you so much for the regional event in St. Louis. I didn't even want to go, but my upline encouraged me to go. And I learned how to keep it simple. I learned to partner with someone. I learned something that Gary Brady always says. In this industry, you have to be good at one of two things, getting people into Vemma or get them to someone who can. And she partnered with her upline leader, Ann Howard. Ann Howard is 83 years old, and she played a role in Carol and Gary Freitag winning that contest. I called Ann and I said, what did you do for her? She said, well, Carol would get down every now and then, and my role was just to hug the soup out of her. And I thought to myself, who doesn't want someone to hug the soup out of them on their journey? This is Ann leading her team. But she was joined with incredible people like Donna Grimsley and Nancy Sesteric and Matt Morrow, who all played a role in Carol and Gary winning that contest. That's extraordinary. That's what the value of a team is. But there's a third tip in here from Jim Rohn. He talks about expansion. What follows expansion in your business? Recession. Recession means you may go backwards a little bit. Doesn't matter what level you're at. 10 cycles to go to 8 cycles. 100 to go to 88. It doesn't matter, because the other part of that lesson is what follows recession is expansion. And I'll tell you what, the moral of this story is this. These two contest winners have something in common. You see, the enroller of Gary and Carol Freitag, many levels up, quit. That same person was one of 4 people that Dennis Ligon contacted when he wanted to be enrolled in Vemma. Dennis Ligon, presidential leader from Virginia Beach, was contacted 4 people in Vemma who said, I'm interested. He didn't hear from 3 of them. One of the people that quit in recession, Miss Dennis Ligon. Why did Mimi and Tyler Ford get him? Because they picked up the phone and they said, the reason for my call. And they connected with Dennis, and that's why they're a part of this incredible team that builds so well. So expansion, recession, expansion, it's going to happen. You know, I want to share a story too. Many people see Jeff and I as high-profile people. You see, that's how I ended up on some list for a woman to call for Donald Trump's company. You'll see different people 10 years ago. Darren Hardy talked this morning. 10 years is your journey. Well, you look at us here, and we do look like high-profile people. And it will continue to grow to higher-profile people, because my husband, who authored a book long before Vemma, when we were flat broke, had a big why. It was to inspire people with an incredible story. Now, you'll see him as an incredible success story one day with his book and his movie, because his book is being made into a movie and going into that level right now. But see, I remember him before Vemma, who believed so much in his dream and his why to inspire people, that every time he traveled to do a book signing, and he'd call me up and say, I only sold a few. Doesn't even pay for my hotel room. I'm putting us further in debt. See, we were broken when we started Vemma. We were one of those people Darren talked about this morning. And what would I say to him? Never forget your why. Why did you write the book? To inspire people. So ask yourself, are you inspiring people? The answer is yes. Keep going. And he did. And next week, he'll be attending an incredible event in a black tie. He'll get to wear his own personal tux again, followed by media with a team of people that I finally got to meet for the first time a couple weeks ago in Nashville, Tennessee. He's partnered with the most high-profile people. You wait. Some of these people he's partnered with is amazing. I had the privilege to meet him once. But in a couple of weeks, he'll go to a premiere movie release with this team of people in tuxedo, and I will not be able to be at that event because I'm partnered with Carmichael from Austria, and we're going to Dallas, Texas that night, and I'll miss it. But I'll be with him in spirit because I know he followed his why from the day that he started that project, and I'm proud of him. But you'll see us as high-profile people. Darren said it this morning, you'll be different people on a 10-year journey. It won't be because you're successful. It'll be because you took the first step to succeed. I want to introduce you to Jeff and I 10 years ago before Vemma. We look very different. Can you go back a slide? We won't want to keep that up there for the rest of this. Tip number 4 from Jim Rohn. He said this: create magic. How do you create magic in your business? Get organized and organize a team of people. And he said it'll be hard. It'll be the biggest challenge you ever faced. Because organizing people is like easy when you're herding sheep, but you won't be herding sheep. You'll be herding cats who jump all over the place. That's true. But when you master it, you have magic in your business. Who doesn't want magic in their business? I do. I still do. And how do you get magic? By getting people focused, at least in the heart, on one thing, and that's success. And you know, I always wondered, what exactly would that feel like to be in a magical room? And I found out on March 17th last year, Gary and Marla Brady invited Jeff and I to go out and celebrate St. Patrick's with them and his heritage. I didn't even know he was Irish. I live in a city, I didn't even know we had Irish bars. I've never attended St. Patrick's Day anything in my life. But I'll tell you what, Jeff and I walked in to a bar where corned beef and cabbage, bagpipes, men are willing to wear a skirt for a day called a kilt, I guess, huh? All I know is I look across the bar and there's Gary Brady, that lighthearted, fun, just incredible running mate of ours, who had his arms around 2 different men, kissing their foreheads. And I remember asking him, do you know these people? And his reply was, today we do. Today we do know these people. Why? Because it doesn't matter what they did the day before or how they did it. It mattered why they exist. And they came in that place of magic. And I realized that's what we want to create. We have the ability to do that with all of our teams. You hear it here today. How many people have given credit to their team? It's because they have magic. I had the privilege of taking my younger sister with me to Europe. You see, I've been to Europe 4 or 5 times to work with a team of people there. When I got into Europe, I didn't land in a convention and let people take pictures with me one day. The first day I went, I was there 14 days, and I went on the road. Jeff and I both on that trip. Jeff was able to go with me. We traveled with Harry Meyer. It was every night a different city. The second time I went to Europe, I took my sister back with me, my younger sister, Julie. We spent 9 days in Europe. We had some wonderful sightseeing times. We did some business. But we attended a 600-person event. Now, you have to imagine, how many people have someone in their family that's not in Vemma? Relax. None of mine are in, really. My sister's on the product out of 6 siblings, my sister. And that's who I took with me. But she doesn't know what I do, really. It's not a fit for her. And guess what? That's okay. But I had the honor to take her with me on this trip. And we celebrated a couple of days of fun times, and then we went to an event with 600 people. And in the front row was a chair with my name on it. And we sat there. Now imagine, she knows nothing really about Vemma. I live in a 1,500 square foot home. I'm not wearing a lot of success that looks different to my siblings. But when I sat in that front row, as time evolved, I was called to the stage. I was given roses. I was called to the stage by a cycling team and given their jersey, only to sit back down and have my sister Julie look at me and say, "Who are you?" Seriously. And that event, we stayed in that front row. Guess what? The event was in German. I understood very little of it, and I never left. And we went to dinner that night. She said, can we possibly leave the hotel for a while? I'm like, why? She says, because all I hear are names, 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 and none of them sound familiar to me. Don't they have a Jennifer over here? She said, I don't know how you do it. And we walked back in after having a private dinner, and sitting in the hotel lobby at 11 o'clock at night were 30 people, mostly men, sitting on the sofa, who jumped up and ran to me when we walked in the door. And she just looked at me and she said, I can't do it anymore, I have to go to bed. And she went up and went to bed. And in her hotel room, she could see down in the lobby of the hotel where I sat with all of these people till after midnight. And when I went up to the room, she said, I don't even know who you are or what you do, but I have more respect for you today than I ever have. And I said, well, good for you, because go to sleep, we got to get up in 4 hours. She said, why? I said, we're going to Budapest, Hungary. She said, for what? I said, to do it all over again. I went to Sweden. Why? Because they're crazy. But I'll tell you what, when Anders Carlson picked me up, we didn't go to an event for 3 days later. He took me to meet every person that was valuable on his team. I sat in the home of Matthias and Linda. I sat with Magnus. I met Annette. I remember Annette, a very talented person who's here today. When I met her there, she sat down with me. We went to an event. We saw 1,000 people there too. And her and I talked. She said, I just don't know why I would do this. I'm already extremely successful. And I looked at her and I said, sometimes you do it because you can. And I said, I don't know what your decision will be, but I do know this. I flew here to Sweden. I told Anders to put me with the people that meant the most, and you were one of the first people he brought me to. And I don't think it's chance that every time we go to eat, you and I end up at the same table next to each other. It's magic. Michelle Barnes sent a contact from Norway. You really, when you understand how Europe works, it's so amazing. They are the greatest people, hardest working. But here I sat with 1,000 people at an event, and I had this woman come sit right in front of me. And she said to me, or actually she said to her neighbors, she said, oh my gosh, I've been traveling all night to be here. I drove a car, I took a ferry all night. I got off the ferry and I drove to this event, and I came here. And I only speak English. I won't understand most of the day, but Michelle Barnes made it known to me I need to be here to hear that 20-minute talk that Ruth Elliott gives. And I can't wait to meet her. And all I could do at that moment is tap her shoulder and say, you're sitting next to her, and it was worth the journey. And I spent time with her. You see, why do I do that? Because they're my people. It's exactly what Gary Brady said. They're my people. And if you treat your teams like my people, that magic will appear. That's far more important than anything that you can share in the business. Share that feeling of you're my people and grow a team. You know, a year ago, we talked about how valuable would it be to be that one team, one dream. Unfortunately, we tied that message to a system, and it's not about a system. BK spent $1 million to put on this event because it's all about a why. And I want to show you the power of one team, one dream. We all have the same dream. We can all get there. There's many ways of success. How many people in this room here really believe 1 year from now they can grow their business by 10 cycles? Stand up. 10 cycles. Could you grow your business by 10 cycles? You're building a two-sided business. There's $5,400 worth of volume tied to 10 cycles. Do you realize that collectively together, as we make this goal happen, we've grown our company $16,200,000 worth of volume. Who can do that? We can. And that's what makes us one team, one dream. I'll leave you with the last tip from Jim Rohn, because this one inspired me. He said, the road to greatness is serving many. It didn't say the road to greatness is being above many. He said the road to greatness is to serve many. And I don't know about you, but I know what my why is. Many people sometimes will say, oh, her words are so amazing, but she's not duplicatable. I'll tell you what, I am the most duplicatable because I really say so little. I know you hear me on stage where I say a lot, but I really say so little. And my goal in the year of 2011, I claimed it as the year of leadership. What's that mean? We're going to grow leaders. I'm going to spend more time teaching people what I know about keeping it simple and communication. That's my gift. So when I claim the year of leadership, we've been working on this in our team. Gary Brady pointed out to me again on the conference call. He interrupted. He said, Ruth, I don't know how to tell you this. You claim this is the year of leadership, but my daughter's school calendar said the Chinese claim it as the year of the rabbit. He said, but you know what? The rabbit's about reproducing and duplication. I think you can work it into your message. So we're just going to go with it. But my goal is this, to duplicate leadership. Every spring and fall for our team, we have a regional event that has usually, our last one was 611 brand partners. But I realized that if I can spread myself to 5 different events, and each event could have 250 to 300 people, we double the amount of people that we can help. We also create leaders because I can teach you how to do an event and not go in the hole financially. My contribution today and this year is to create additional leaders. And until there's additional Royal Ambassadors on both sides of that business, you won't see less of me, you'll see more of me. Thank you.